Should be live, I think. I'll just see if it's showing up on YouTube. Oh yeah, there we are. That's us. Okay. How are you?
Mate, I'm great. What's going on? You
Happy
good?
New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Yeah. Um, I honestly never thought this would happen.
Oh, really?
I
Why is that?
remember, I remember. I'm not saying any of this to make you feel bad, so please don't think I
Nah,
am.
nah,
But
not at all.
I remember when I think it was after you did, maybe came back from America after demo team, I think. And
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
you were in quarantine for like fucking a year. And I was like, oh, I'll definitely get him now. He's literally staring at a wall. And then it didn't happen. I was like, I mean, if I can't get him when he's stuck in a hotel room, like with, 2 feet of space, it's literally never going to happen. But I'm
Oh
thrilled
man.
you're here.
Oh mate, me too. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that was a pretty hectic time for me actually during that period. It was a lot of a lot of stuff going on. There was lots of stuff going on, but that was particularly a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, like it's kind of fun. I was kind of making notes, and I was like, "Oh, what will I ask him about?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll go through some of the stuff he's done, like some of the sports or whatever." Um, Jesus, like you've done an awful lot of stuff. Like, but even just in the last like 12 months, like
Yeah, yeah.
so, I was like, "Okay, look at this bullshit." Wild zombie. Glad to see someone truly attractive on here. Fuck you. Um, so I was looking, I was like, right, okay, CrossFit. Like that's how I know you. That's the obvious like starting point. And then I was like, oh, I must ask him about like doing triathlons because he seems to do one of those like every second day. And then I was like, oh, Ironman, like that's or Ironman races,
I'm
Ironman.
yeah.
And I was like, he's done a lot of them, like that's. And then I was like, oh, did he do powerlifting meet like in the last year as well? I think. And then I'm pretty sure I saw him do strongman as well at one point. And then I was like, and bobsledding. I was like, there's literally nothing left. Like like, have you ever played a ball sport? That's all the only thing I can think of that's missing.
Yeah, I played rugby league at a fairly high level. I was national level rugby league player when I was in my teenage years.
Wow.
I played. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to play professional rugby league. That's all I wanted to do. Played a bit of union as well. But yeah, made state, like lots of state teams for, I think made state teams for about 8 years, and then made an Australian team when I was 15, and then I made another schoolboys team when I was 18. So that's like Australian B
Okay.
tier level. And then I went and played semi pro over in Brisbane and New South Wales, so getting paid to play. And then that's when I found CrossFit. So yeah, ball sports. Yeah, I've done ball sports.
Like, were you? So you're obviously active in rugby growing up. Are you? Is your family active? Like, was it kind of a natural? You just try everything, and you were you like? It's just feels unlikely that of all the sports that you seem to have tried, you seem to be obviously you're putting in a lot of hard work and stuff, but you seem to be very naturally gifted just when it comes to like physicality.
I think growing up, doing lots of different stuff. Like mum and dad were always encouraging of going and playing new sports. So I think if you start young, you pick up all these skills, and then those skills compound as you get older. So
Hmm.
if you're learning skills when you're 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, 7, and you're picking those things up, when you get given the opportunities to play these new sports as you get older, you're a little bit better than, just a little bit, not a lot, but just a
Yeah,
little bit better than everybody else, and that encourages you to do more. So it's
yeah,
a compounding effect. So if you jump into something and you're not very good at, like initially, it's not as, for a child, it's not as appealing to continue on. And that was my first experience when I was about 8 years old. I was terrible at soccer. I played soccer from 4 years old to 7 years old, and then after that, I jumped into athletics. So I was doing like track and field, and I was not good on my first day. But come back the next week, I got given one tip, and that one tip sent me from coming last in all my races to winning my races. And I wanted to go every weekend because I knew I'd go there and I'd be winning races. So it's just a compounding effect. And if you start young, much easier as you get older.
Yeah, I'm trying to guess like what would the tip have been if you're finishing last on your race and they start winning. They're like, James, you're supposed to run. Like you're walking, everyone else is running. You just need to pick up the pace a little bit.
Well, so the first week I went out, we were running a 70 meters. So I was 8 years old, so you had a 70-meter sprint. It wasn't quite 100. And I got on the start line, and I thought to myself, I'm pretty fast. I might be able to win this. So I was talking to my dad about what we're going to do. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go out there and I win. And had no idea if I was any good or not. Had never really the only person I'd ever raced was my brother, and that was about it. And got out there, and I was racing two twins and one other fella, and so there was 4 people in the race, and I came dead last by like a fairly long way. In my eyes, it was a long way. I was like, oh man, I don't want to do this anymore. And then immediately got down about it, and I was like, far out. And then went and did a few of the other events. Didn't do great at them, and didn't enjoy my time. And then the next week, I didn't want to go. And then my dad said, hey, maybe you should go back out and have another go. And he was going out with my brothers and sisters anyway as well. They were all keen to go back out there. I was like, oh, I don't really want to go. Ended up going. And we had just moved interstate to SA, to South Australia. And one of the girls who I was going to school with, who I just met in that recent last 2 weeks at school, she was there too. And her dad was there. And he said, hey, I'm Steph's dad. I'll give you a tip. I'll give you a tip for running your 70 meters. I saw you run your 70 meters, and this week we had 70 meters again. He goes, I'll give you a tip. And he goes, last time you were looking on both sides, so you were looking sideways, and you're also hunched over. He said, just look at one spot beyond the finish line. Keep your eyes on that. Don't take your eyes off it, and stay standing up tall. And I was like, okay, cool. All right. So stay standing up tall, focus on one point behind the finish line, and don't take my eyes off it. That's all I did. And then I went from coming dead last to winning all my races.
And did you stick with athletics then?
Yeah, I did. I ended up sticking with athletics. I went to state competitions every year for about 5 years. Yep, every year for about 5 years. And yeah, I picked up some medals at states. Like I won the shot put. I got second in the high jump. I never medaled in any of the sprinting races. I got fourth. Best I got was fourth, which I was devastated about. And I got a handful of fourths and fifths in the running races, but never got a medal there. But yeah, my only medals were shot put and high jump.
How many siblings do you have?
I'm one of 5. So I got 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
Oh, okay. And what did your parents do? You said you moved there? Did you move around a lot, or was that just like a one-off?
No, we just kind of like a one-off. We
Okay.
yeah, dad was like managing pubs and hotels, and mum was handling the kids.
Yeah, 5 is a lot. In fairness, you're not like nobody wants to pay childcare for 5 kids. It's like I'll just take the hit.
Fuck no.
Yeah, I get sick when I have to pay it for 2. It's like, oh fuck this. So you provided me with one of my favorite CrossFit sport moments to date. I was at the games in 2019, and I just remember I was like sitting beside my wife, and I was just like, the fuck is Newbury doing? I think was it Ringer 1 where Ringer 1. Like absolutely fucking took off, and like when you're there, like you've no commentary, like you can't hear really anything that's going on. At the end, the MCs are there and stuff, but sometimes it's kind of hard to hear them or whatever. And I was like, does he know? Does he think the workout is the same as everyone else? Does he misread like what the calories are or something? That was incredibly impressive, like so enjoyable. And I remember just saying, like, I mean, man, if he can keep this up for the second one, it's fucking ridiculous. When you like look back, so obviously you've been there like 4 times. You were on the demo team 2021, and then like even just all the bits like Torian and all those other bits as well. Like are there highlight moments, or are there like things that really stand out for you, or is it kind of like does it all blend together?
Yeah, there were definitely some highlight moments. The Ringer 1 was definitely a highlight, although I couldn't enjoy it because I was so fucked at the end. But
what was the reasoning behind just going? Like, was it just to get an event win? You just thought you had it?
Yeah, I thought that was an event that I thought I could win just given the movements, because I know we had done a lot of training with those types of intervals in terms of like sprinting on the assault bike for 40 cows and 50 cows at a time on repeat. So I knew I could do it, but also knowing that there was another event back to back on that one that people may try and do okay in both, it gave me an even better chance of doing well in that event, because that second event for me, burpees and overhead squats, it was never going to be a race that I was going to be at the top of anyway. I may have done the best I may have done in that workout would have been, maybe middle of the pack. So instead of going for 2 middle of the packs, I figured, and my coach Michelle at the time was just like, "Hey man, don't worry about the second workout. Just send the first one, try and win the thing, and then just get through the next one however you feel you can." I was like, "Fuck, okay, sounds great." It's like kind of what I wanted to hear.
It sounds great until the workout is over and you're like, everything's double.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. Once I finished that thing, I felt okay once I finished, but then progressively in the rest period, I got worse and worse and worse. I'm telling myself, no, you're okay. And then I went to jog off the start line for Ringer 2, and then I literally jogged for 2 steps and then walked to the...
Yeah, because I remember being there and being like, geez, he seems totally fine. And you took a couple of steps and like, oh no, he's not fine.
No,
It's
I
just
was
like,
not
no.
fine. My judge was laughing at me.
Yeah.
He was like, what are you doing?
All of those, like, do the years, like, are there, because like, say, maybe I'm different, but I don't know, if someone asked me about my childhood or about, like, I kind of put you on the spot there about like what advice were you given in a race or whatever, like if some, like, I kind of feel like I woke up when I was about 14 and my like memory just started, like that. I can't really remember anything before that. And like sometimes my wife would be like, "Oh, remember you met that person?" And I'd be like, "No." And they'd be like, "No, remember, like we were there, like we were chatting for about 3 hours." No clue. And then maybe if I see their face, I might remember it. But like, for you, for those like 4 years, and obviously, like an awful lot of stuff has happened in the last, even if you just look at the last, say, 6 years, just sporting wise, an awful lot of stuff has happened for you. Are you able to like separate out those different years and be like, oh, 2019, that was year Ringer 1, 2018, that was whatever, 2021, that was whatever? Like, are you able to separate them all out and have like specific memories of each?
Yeah, there's some specific stuff that oh shit, maybe I'll keep it down here. Yeah, look, there is some specific stuff that kind of like each year kind of stands out. A lot of the years kind of feel like they do blend into each other, but that's kind of the majority of that's the majority of how I felt during 2016, my rookie year, 2017 and 2018. The only big difference year there was 2019, because I didn't place where I wanted to place in 2016, 17 or 18. It was a lot of oh shit moments, like far out, like I've just worked so hard for this and I'm not placing where I want to place. But there was little things in each year that I could take away. And then all I wanted to do in 2019 was I wanted to have more good memories of the competition rather than far out. I tried so hard and I didn't get anywhere where I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
So that was like my one goal, was to just enjoy more than 50% of the CrossFit Games, because for a lot of people, like going to the CrossFit Games is like an absolute dream. But unless you're doing well, if you're a serious competitor, unless you're doing well, it's not a fun thing to do if you're just going out there getting flogged every time. It's a hard lead up, because you dedicate all your time and energy into this one event for the year. Well, not including like regionals, but you invest all your time into it. You sacrifice other experiences, which is why I'm making the most of my time now. You sacrifice a lot to do with your relationships. You sacrifice so much stuff, and then you get to this one thing where you have to perform, or where you put all these expectations on yourself to perform, and that can be a detriment, like, to you in the long run at your competition. Which is why when I went into 2019, which was a season I didn't even know if I wanted to do or not, I just kind of said, you know what, I've already come back to the CrossFit Games. I've been to the games 3 times. I've got nothing to prove. I'm just going to go out and have a good time and just send it. Just send it, roll the dice more. and I had such a better time. I approached my events with a lot less anxiety and fear of failing. I just was like, oh, screw it. And it paid off like really well. Like I just kind of just went forward in each workout. But my preparation was fantastic. Like I had a very good taper. My taper was the best tapering I've ever done. My preparation was specific. There was purpose around all the sessions. I wasn't overtrained. I wasn't undertrained. Everything was just aligned really nicely. And I was with a great training environment. Like I was training with Michelle Laton, Pat Velma, Laura Horvath, Sam Cornoyer. And we just all like had a blast getting prepped for this thing. And it wasn't an overload of work. It was just enough for me to be as well prepared as I possibly could to be able to recover back to back from these workouts, but not be so far overtrained to the point where I couldn't taper properly. So,
were you at DECA for the other 3 years before that? No.
So for 2016 and 17, I was with Raw Strength. For 2018, I went and trained with Tia and Shane, and then 2019 when they moved to the US, and that's when sanctionals came involved. Tia and Shane moved to the US, and then getting prepped for individual sanctional events was going to be too difficult because at the time Shane was only programming for Tia. So trying to prep me for an event at a different time, Tia's at a different time, would have distracted, their time frame there. So I just said, no, that's cool. Like, I don't want to interrupt your training. And I was actually looking at trying to get over to the States in that year and to spend a year over there, and just had so much going on back home that I couldn't make it happen. So I just emailed Michelle, and Michelle said, hey, yeah, I'd be keen to help you out. And yeah, it was absolutely fantastic.
And you went back with with what was then proven, or what's now proven, that for Last Chance, or?
Yeah, that was for Last Chance in 2021. That season, like through 2020, obviously with what happened with all the shutdowns and lockdowns and things, I kind of just didn't do much during that year in terms of like specific CrossFit stuff. I did maybe a CrossFit session once a week, and then I kind of worked on some business stuff, and then just signed up I did some criterium racing and did some triathlons for fun. I didn't really prep for them that much. I was maybe doing a handful of hours a week of triathlon training. I'd ride my bike once a week, swim once a week, and I'd run once a week. And then getting into 2021, I was like, you know what? I've got a bit of time. Maybe I'll have another role and see how it all goes. And then, I kind of like put everything off and put it off. And I started prepping for the sanctionals, or whatever they were called, the nationals, whatever the qualification was for the games, about 6 weeks out. And I was like, oh, see how we go. And I kind of got there and thought, oh yeah, I feel like semi-fit. I feel okay. And then ended up having one terrible workout. I kind of centered on a workout, which I probably shouldn't have. It was like a 21 ring muscle up into 21 squat snatches at 135. And I tried to go for the 21 ring muscle ups unbroken, which is like equal PR for me on my ring muscle ups. Idiot. And I really should have just done it in 2 sets. And if I'd done it in 2 sets, even 3 sets, I probably would have walked away with a spot to the games, because I ended up coming 4th that year. And then I just said, I got Last Chance qualifier. And so I kind of said, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll go fly over and spend the Last Chance qualifier training leading up with Tia and Shane, and hopefully I can qualify there. And if not, at least I'll be a training partner for Tia, because I just enjoy my time with those guys so much when we train. It's such a blast. But I could definitely tell the gap that I had given myself between 2019 and 2021. So that 2-year period through 2020 and the lead up to 2021, how much training I had missed to now where the volume sat for Tia and the group there. And like I hung in there, but only just in terms of the volume. There were some workouts that I did well on and in training, and I did adapt quite quickly, but it definitely, I had to really mentally prepare myself for every day of training there. So that was like a solid 8 to 10 weeks of the hardest block of training that I've ever done. And that it rocked me pretty bad. So,
because I had Fraser on a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him, he kind of took the question up wrong, and I like rephrased it, but I was like, I'm not fucking rephrasing it a third time. But I kind of asked him like, hypothetically, if he like, there was a lot of rumors around at the start when he retired of people saying like, oh, I bet he takes a year off and then comes back and he'd be like, rested and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hypothetically, if he gave himself 18 months, would he be okay? Like, would he be at a competitive level? Or if you take time off CrossFit, is it such a unique sport that like the gap that would appear in that, even if you're just kind of not pissing around, but like, just keeping fit kind of as opposed to like training fully, will the gap that arises because of that just, leave too big of a mountain to overcome when you come back? Will the field be so far ahead that you're just kind of playing catch up? So I guess like in a way you've kind of almost answered it a bit there. I know like you dial things in, I suppose, more after that, but like even the fact that you were keeping fit during that period of time, it left you with like, it sounds like a bit of a surprise when you went over to Nashville.
Yeah, well, it was a multitude of things. It was the heat. The heat was a big punch in the face. It was so freaking hot in Nashville, and yeah, like getting the training in, and like the aerobic capacity was there. Aerobically, I was fine. I was just not very, my ability and my stamina on like pull-ups and handstands and overall strength, like we would like whittle our way down to the point where, if I could clean and jerk 155 or 150 any day of the week, there'll be some days where I'd get into the gym and be so buckled that I would struggle to clean 120. So that's a big difference. So I feel like you can go into, you can have a break, but you need, I would say you need at least to get back. Let's say I wanted to get back to say 2019 fitness, and ability to handle that type of work, I feel like I could. I definitely feel like I could get back to that type of ability. But it would take, I have to do more than a 6-week preparation, which is usually what I do at the moment. Like I'd probably have to roll at least 12 months of training.
Yeah. But is you getting back to say 2019, like say when you were at Torian most recently, like say last year, 2022, were you surprised at the field, like as in at the ability of the field? And like say if you put those athletes, if you had looked at the Torian field in 2019 versus the Torian field in 2022, there's a jump in like ability and like volume, a capacity to deal with volume. And even if you look at like CrossFit as a sport, from like Froning when he was winning to Medeiros when he's winning, there's a difference there between what was expected and what was required and the numbers and stuff. Like, do you think that when you say that you'd need that time, is that to get you back to where you were in 2019 or to catch you up with where the field will be at the games that year? Do you know what I mean?
I think my ability in 2019 would have done very well in 2021, 2022. Okay. I think there is a big difference. There is a difference in terms of volume and things like that between, Rich Froning's era, Matt Fraser's era, stuff like that. But I think it takes, it's more than a year or two. I feel like those types of transitions take, it's a 5-year gap. Yes, definitely the boys are a lot stronger, for sure. Overall, I feel like overall the boys are a lot stronger. But in saying that, like, I feel like at peak, in 2019, even 2018, regionals level, I feel like that would have been very competitive in 2021 and 2022. Like that would have, I even 2021, for instance, this is, and like the boys are so good, like they are getting much fitter, and they are very fit. I feel like it wouldn't, it's hard to say. It's a very tough question, but yes, I feel like 2019 peak fitness I would have qualified 2021, 2022. This year, or last year, sorry, 2022, leading into Torian. Like and I said this to a lot of the boys, and a lot of the guys probably don't even believe me when I say it. and this is not to take away anything from any of the fellas there at all, because they are mega fit and they put in the work and they've dedicated time and attention to it. But leading into 2022, I would have to say, including the open workouts and the quarterfinals, I would have done 12 CrossFit sessions since Waterpalooza 2022. I would have done, maybe 12 CrossFit sessions. I was running maybe 3 times a week with my ex-partner. She was getting prepped for a triathlon and I was just running with her. I never did any, since 2021, I haven't done a CrossFit session outside of a class format since 2021. And my running sessions throughout that whole season were running at her paces, which were 5:45s, 5:50 per kilometer paces, and riding with her and swimming my own paces when I was in the pool. But so I was probably doing maybe 3 running sessions a week, 2 bike rides and a swim. And then I did maybe a CrossFit session once every 2 or 3 weeks. So, and in my mind, I shouldn't have been I shouldn't have been at Torian. Like I hadn't put any work in for it. I did however many open workouts there were in quarterfinals, and then I jumped in and did maybe 3 or 4 sessions in a class format leading up to Torian. And in my mind, I shouldn't have been there. Like I was expecting to get knocked out in the open, expecting to get knocked out in quarters, and then, funnily enough, I went to Torian and then placed, I think, 17th or 18th, somewhere there. I didn't even expect to be there. I expected to be last. That's how bad I thought I would have been. And if I wanted to be up, say, in the top echelon with the boys, like with Jay, then I definitely would have had to been prepping for the last 6 months. Like I probably would have had to prep for 6 months, or at least get in a good solid 8 to 10 week preparation to even be able to hang. But that would have been dedicated morning and night, AM, PM sessions. Like it that's what it does require. But I'm not prepared to put in that type of time anymore.
Yeah, do you like CrossFit now? Like, are you kind of like, did you go off it a bit? Did you kind of fall out of love with it a bit, or was it just like a natural kind of other interest took over, or was it the sacrifice?
Yeah, like yes, and a bit of both. I guess I just hammered it for so long that I now have had my fill, in a sense. I've had my fill in terms of super high level competition in CrossFit, for sure. And like I'm coming to Miami. I'm going to come compete next at Waterpalooza, and I just have a blast doing that type of stuff. Jumping in with the team. I have not a bone in my body that wants me to go back and do individual competition at all. But I love jumping into team and partner formats where you can work with someone to achieve a task together. I actually really enjoy that. I enjoy doing the classes. I don't enjoy going into the gym and following a program anymore. Like it doesn't fire me up. There's nothing about the way that I live my life these days that's like, oh, I can't wait to go in and attack my program. Whereas that was very different when I was like 25, 26, 27, 28. I was like fired up. I was like, I couldn't wait to open my program in the morning. But nowadays it's just my priorities lie elsewhere. Like I'm focused on my businesses. I'm focused on those are my priorities. And then, then I get fired up about going and doing random competitions with people. That's what I get fired up about, whether it's an Ironman triathlon or a strongman comp or a powerlifting comp, or, a long ocean swim or something unique, or an adventure race, or, an ultra marathon or something like that. I would get fired up about that, but I don't particularly want to do a hardcore structured preparation for it, because I know that if I try and give myself hardcore structured preparation, that I'll want to go to the nth degree and be the absolute best that I could be at it, and then my businesses would suffer because of the attention. There is a balance there somewhere, and I'm getting better at finding that balance. But at the moment, what gets me out of bed every day is working on these businesses and turning them into something that is long lasting, and that's what I haven't been able to do for the last 10 years.
Like I'm trying to formulate a sentence in my head to explain how remarkable I think it is that with essentially like fuck all training, you made it to semi-finals and like gave a decent representation of yourself, all things considered. That like it's just like you're just an athletic freak. Like there's no, I can't like all the things that you're saying, like I know they're passe to you because you do them so often, but like for the average person listening to this or watching this thinking like, oh, I just do like I messaged you about, we were trying to set up this call, and I mean I have a few issues with the things that you said when we were trying to set it up. You were like, oh yeah, I'm a bit of an early riser, I'd be up around 4:30. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But then you were like, yeah, we're running 23k. That was with like Jason, like LSKD and them, those guys, I assume.
Yep.
But you're like, I remember seeing that, them advertising that, saying, oh, we're running 23k. I was like, who the fuck is going to do that? And then sure enough, like James Newbury, like, oh, well, I'm running 23k, but I can do it before then. I'd be like, I'd be getting sick, like with nerves before going on something like that. But like all the things that you're talking about are just, you know, you're just kind of laying them out as if like it's walking the dog to the shop. But it's like an Ironman, a triathlon, like running at someone else's paces for triathlon, and you know, like just kind of tipping away, and like it's genuinely remarkable. I'm trying to think, like there's someone like Jason here saying like it's genetics, but it's like it has to be like hay in the barn as well. It has to be like years of like the efforts that you put in to be ready in 16, 17, 18, even if you weren't happy with the outcome. And then like in 19 and 21, like all those hours and all that has to just keep, like your tank is just so full that you're just ready to empty it wherever.
Yeah. Look, I don't think it's as much genetics as probably what people would think. I really don't believe that. I think I've laid a really good base foundation for years and years and years, and it's not just a base foundation of the last 6 months of training or the last 12 months of training. It's a base foundation. I was committed to training since I was 12 years old, actually going out and training and going to the gym and getting up at 5 a.m. to go and train from 13 years old. Like I'd get to the gym before school as a 13-year-old because I wanted to be stronger at rugby league. I wanted to be a strong athlete out there. I wanted to be faster. I wanted to be able to tackle better. I was obsessed with being better for such a long period of time. And so since then, that's been 17 years. That's 17 years of commitment. Like I didn't, when all my friends were going out drinking, I was not drinking. I was a Deso driver. I'd still go out and have a good time, but I wasn't getting blasted every weekend. I committed to my training. Like training took preference over everything for 17 years. I don't think it's a genetic thing. My brothers and sisters, for instance, they're not like super athletic. I'm sure they probably could have been. But you know, mum and dad weren't athletes either. I feel like it has a lot to do with years and years and years of obsession. That's what it comes down to. And now that and also experience, because the reason that I don't fear going and running, if someone said, hey, let's go run a marathon now, and I'm pretty buckled after yesterday's 23Ks because I ran at paces that I just haven't been doing for since the last Ironman about a month ago. Since then, I've run maybe 2 or 3 times. And I'm pretty sore. But if someone said to me, hey, let's go do a marathon right now, most people would be like, holy shit. And I'd be fired up about it. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, let's go. But the only reason that is not because I know that I could run a good marathon time, because I wouldn't. It's just because I know what I would expect it to feel like. I have experience in doing it. And I kind of know what's coming. So the experience of sharing a marathon with somebody else and the memories that I'd create from that vastly outweigh, you know, the pain in my feet or my hip flexors tightening up, my back getting stiff. That's what I look forward to the most. And that's why I don't really fear having a crack at these events, because number one, I don't care if it pushes me hard. Number two, I'm not really afraid of failing. If something fails on me to the point where I can't finish it, you know, that's out of my control. But I will do my best to absolutely get it done. So it just comes down to experience as well. Like if someone said, "Hey, let's go swim 4Ks," I know what swimming 4Ks feels like. So yeah, that's cool. Let's go do it. But doing something outside of my comfort zone, that I haven't done before, that would make me have a second take at it. But I know that I would be interested in doing it because the experience would vastly outweigh my fear.
You said there that you were like dedicated, like obsessed for like 17 years. Had you like was there an adjustment period after that was over? Like, say when you said like, okay, I'm gonna just like, pump the brakes a bit and, like coast a little bit and change my focus and that kind of stuff. Like, was it like, did you have to mourn the old Newbury, like, and accept this new one, or was it easier than that?
I got told a lot that I should go see a sports psychologist to help me detach from being so obsessed with training. But
Yeah.
that's not my mindset. My mindset was like, cool, okay, now that, like, I'm very black and white when it comes to this stuff. It's just like bang or bang. It's I literally just replaced the amount of obsession that I put into training into business. That was all I did, and I feel great about it. So, I live and breathe like trying to grow those things. But then I also get my fitness fix, which will always be a thing, regardless. Like, I'm a better business owner and a better business partner if I get my training done first thing in the morning. So, before say 9 a.m. So I get up, usually like a morning routine is I get up, I get dressed straight away, get downstairs at about, I set my alarm for 4:28 because 4:28 gets me to the coffee shop at 4:59, and the coffee shop opens at 5. I grab a coffee. I'll sit there and do my non-negotiables, like my social media posts for the day, because that's where I get the best reach throughout America and Australia at that particular time. It's like the highest engagement for me. So I do my posts then. Then I'll get to the gym. If I want to do a CrossFit session, at the moment I am, because I'm doing 4 weeks of preparation to get ready for Waterpalooza, because I don't want to suck for the other boys. I really just don't want to let them down, and I feel like I might. And then if I'm not doing that, then I'll go for a run instead. And if I do that, I'm a smarter person for the rest of the day, and I can put my best foot forward. If I do that, I'm putting my best foot forward to be able to handle whatever I have to do with, the protein company or the boys. So, it's that's kind of just how I do it. And I just basically subbed out obsession with training to obsession with business. And then I get my fix of training, just registering for random events. Like, I know that I can go and do some triathlon, and I love doing that. It's a cool experience. And also going to these different destinations fire me up as well, because I love traveling. So I hate flying, but I love traveling. So being able to say, oh, let's go do maybe the Nice 70.3. That'd be great. Or let's go do, the New York Marathon. Cool, let's go. That's like an experience. And if I can jam pack the rest of my life with super cool experiences like that I know that I can achieve, I'm gonna have fun along the way. I'm gonna experience new things, and I'm also kicking goals with my high priorities, which is growing my businesses. I'm kind of just doing all the things that I really want to do. It's like, when I get asked, what do you do for fun? It's like, I kind of do it every day.
How did the team with Nick and Yana come about? Because I jokingly called you guys like the slot machines, because it was like someone just pulled a lever and these three faces just popped up.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went down. Nick reached out to me, and I was going to Waterpalooza anyway, because we're taking the boys there. And Nick reached out and said, "Hey mate, have you got a team for Waterpalooza?" And I said, "Nah, Khan's ditched me, and so's Matty DeLugos. They ditched me." And he said, "Do you want to jump in a team?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Who's the third?" And he goes, "I'm not sure. Maybe ask Royce." And then so Royce couldn't come, and then he goes, "Oh, maybe ask." Do you know? He goes, "Do you know Yona?" And I said, "Oh, I've spoken to him a handful of times at the games." So I just messaged Yona and I said, "Hey, dude, do you want to jump in our team?" And he goes, "Well, I'm going to be there doing Indy anyway, so yeah, I'll jump in." I was like, "Okay, cool."
Are you nervous about it? Are you nervous about, because I don't think there's many people going elite at, even on a team at Wadapalooza, who are like, yeah, I'm doing 4 weeks of prep.
Yeah. Well, nah. It should be okay. I'm a little bit nervous because I don't want to let the team down.
Yeah.
But nah, I'll be all right. I'll make it work. I did so the same thing happened at Down Under. The Down Under CrossFit Championships was the amazing competition, by the way. I was going there to work. I had the fiber stand there, and then I got a message from one of the boys saying, "Hey, can you take my spot with Royce and Jack?" And I was just like, "Oh, far out! I've done nothing. I've done no prep." And I said, "Yeah, okay, I can jump in for sure." And I was expecting absolute carnage, and I held my own. I think,
Yeah.
and hopefully the boys concur. But I held my own decently enough. That the difference between how I compete now to how I did compete, say in 2019 at peak, it's just battery. Like, it's your battery turnover. So yes, I might be okay for one workout or two workouts, but then your ability to repeat is gone. Like, you don't have those reserves to keep going and going and going. And for instance, let's just say you were to do a 5 rounds of 20 cal max outs on the 5 minutes. My ability to maintain times for those 5 efforts back then would have been very close. Now I would do 1, maybe 2 of those at the same time, and then it'd drop off very quickly after that. That's like training, and that's what we do. Like, when we go to regionals or the games, your ability to maintain that pace for longer than the other person is what is key. And it's the same thing with running a 100-meter sprint. Usain Bolt, everyone gets up to top speed, and it's like, who can hold that top speed, for 10 meters longer? That's all it is. It's like, who can maintain their threshold for a little bit longer. And my threshold, I can get there, but it doesn't stay there very long. It drops off very quickly after that. So this is why team is good for me. Well, not good for me. There would be other people that would be better suited to team than me, but it is good for me because I get to the point and then tag somebody else in to hopefully take some work on.
Yeah. I'm sure there is other people who'd be better placed, but fuck those guys. Everyone wants to see Newbury there. So. That was supposed to be Brandon Swan on that team, was it?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, because I messaged during the weekend, I messaged Royce and I was like, fucking hell, Swanee's looking fairly good. The fireman stuff is obviously suiting him. And he was like, yeah, it's the best he's looked in years, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
I think he was still listed on the competition corner, like, page or whatever. Yeah, that's, and you mentioned there the boys are going to Miami, and that's like, how has that launch gone? Is it going like as you expected, better than you expected? Is it harder than you thought it would be?
No, it's kind of as expected. You always
people are asking if you're actually wearing pants or if you're currently sporting some budgies as well, I think.
Right now.
I think Travis's point is, I remember when I put this up first, he was like, I mean, if he doesn't wear pants, the views are going to be better. So maybe you should just ask him if he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm actually wearing pajamas. It's 8:15 p.m. So I'm actually wearing pajamas. So that's the answer to that one.
No, I've got pants on. I'm about to go train. I got to get in some sessions. So yeah, I'm going to go and train up at Torian today. I'm going to drive up to Brizzy. But it's a public holiday here because that's what Australia does. We have as many public holidays as we possibly could.
Oh, do you do that thing where you carry it over? If it's a Sunday, you carry it over the public holiday. Yeah. I think that's the only way to do it. Nothing else makes sense.
No, we have so many here in Australia. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Le Boys actually, it's launched really well. There's lots of things to iron out. Like, with that stuff, it's not something that we want to rush or we want to, and it's not something that Khan and I are doing full time. If it was full time, different story. But we both have a lot of other things on at the same time, so we're rolling this out and we're not rushing it. And over the course of time, we'll iron out all the things along the way that will make it better. And we'll have new designs and new things coming out, and we'll do the kids and the girls, and all these things will come in due course. But at the moment, we're both just navigating our busy schedules and doing the best job we possibly can right now. And I will have time to work on it more and more and more over the coming months, and we will iron things out. So it's just a nice streamlined process for us both. But it's a passion project at the end of the day. For us, it's we want to have fun with it. We want it as an opportunity to create cool memories and to do social gatherings and parties and have that as a way to connect with people, and also as a way for people to be able to express themselves as much as they can in their own way. So if we can create a cool community around what we do with Le Boys, it's all about having fun and just being as much as who you are as you possibly can be. And I think for a long time, for me in particular, I felt like, especially when I was competing through, say, 23 through to 29, 30, I felt like I had to portray myself in a different way, because I felt like so many young people were watching me, and hopefully I was inspiring in some way to those that I had to be fairly fairly restrictive on what I put up and how I presented myself, and maybe it wasn't fully me. But now I feel a little bit more relaxed with, just being a little bit more of myself, and having a good time, and also having like working hard, training hard, being very goal orientated, but then also having a good time too. Like Elon Musk said this really well. It's just like, yeah, we can have all these goals, but if we constantly just chase these goals, we don't have any fun along the way. What's the point? So I want to make sure I'm having fun at the same time. So Le Boys is going to be, the vector for that, which is having fun. And even with Fiverr too, my business partner Matt, absolute legend of a bloke, he just wants to have fun as well. We want to create some very unique things, and it goes hand in hand, which is why I'm doing both of these projects at the same time works so well, is because we want to create unique, fun, innovative things, and we're doing both in both formats. So yeah, that's what I want to try and emulate, and I couldn't have asked for a better team for both.
Were you friends with Matt before setting up Fiverr?
Yeah, he's been my naturopath for about 6 years.
Because like I know like a lot of people, like the common advice is don't go into business with friends, and you've done it twice. Like, has there been an adjustment period with either, or has it been pretty seamless?
No, seamless. Like the good thing about these partnerships here is that, and I've had partnerships in the past, and it is just being so aware of what the roles and tasks are. I'll do this, you do that, straight down the line. You know exactly what's required, and I know for myself, I have the dedication and the time that I want to put into particular areas of each of the businesses, that I know exactly what's required of me. They know exactly what's required of them, and we just come to the party with what we do. And having I think it's harder when it's a brick and mortars business, but ours
Yeah.
are both e-com online things. So um, we we're able to navigate this very well. And as long as each of us are doing our things, and yeah, no, we're sweet. And there will be some, I'm sure there will be, because every business has adversity, no matter where you go. But I think we're all old enough and mature enough to navigate that, and have a simple conversation, and get to the point and communicate well, which is a huge priority, especially when you're doing partnerships. We communicate what's required, and we all have our heads screwed on enough to know, okay, I need to do this better, or I need to do this more, or hey, I dropped the ball here, I'm going to own up to it. And the both thing is, we're all just really relaxed people. Relaxed in a sense. We all have our things. Obviously, we all have our things. Some things may heighten us or give us some type of anxiety for whatever reason, because that's just the way everybody is. Everyone has a little thing about something. But in a nutshell, we're all so easygoing that it's just like, okay, well, this is what's required. Here's what's going on. And I love project managing, so I can be like, hey, here's the structure. Here's what I need. If you can do this, let me put it into place. And that's kind of what I do well. I guess I'm half decent at making sure that I can have a look at the big picture and make sure that we're allocating tasks to the right spots and getting them done in. And I'll get better as I go on, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny when Le Boys launched. I was like, well, subtlety is not in the realm of like what I'm seeing here, and like I would never dream of wearing budgie smugglers. I don't think anyone would want to see me in the meter. But
No,
even even I looked at that launch and I was like, I want like 10 pairs. I was like, I don't even care.
Yeah.
I'll just like hang them. I'll knit them into a vest. I don't care. I just want to be involved. Yeah, that was like Jesus. It was so over the top epic. It was just like all the I can't imagine how many people had epileptic fits looking at the strobe lights and then the motorbike, like donuts on the motorbike. I was like, geez, these guys are not going half-arsed into this. That has to be like just you just wrote down everything fun that you wanted to do, and then they were just like, yeah, okay, no problem.
To be honest, the Trinity Media boys who put that shoot together, they did everything. We kind of just said, hey, here's the kind of vibe we want. We want a little bit out there, blah, blah, blah. And we just thought we were going to just, maybe do some shots down the beach or something like that for 20 minutes. But we got there and these guys had blow up swans and and pools inside the studio. They had a guy on a motorbike that we were just doing just wild stuff. And they're just like, let's try this. And so I can't thank those boys, the Trinity Media Group. They were just like, and they're just like us too. They're just lads having a go at what they do, and they're very good at what they do. And it's like the partnership there is it's epic. So wait until you see what's coming, because we have some even better stuff than that coming. Like we're gonna up the ante a fair bit, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I remember I messaged Khan after it came out, and I was like, "This looks pretty insane," and he was like, "I feel like Khan's done a lot of weird shit for like shoots, and I feel like he'd be up for most anything," and even he was like, "Yeah, this is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever done." Like he was like, "This is like beyond where I thought I'd be."
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's we have some cool ideas with what's coming up as well. Like there's going to be, if that blew your mind, just wait. You won't even have a body at the end of it.
With fiber then, so have you always been plant-based?
I've been plant-based for 3 years.
And what spawned it, or what made you change?
For me, it was just, I just didn't want to contribute to harming anything. I didn't want to be the one that, either was to do the harming or paying someone else to hurt something else that, I loved and cherished. And that was the main thing. And I knew that I could live my life eating all plant food and be as good as what I wanted to be, without being the cause to stress, to pain, to suffering. And that was literally it. I just didn't want to be a part of that industry. And I think that industry, a lot of things get swept under the rug, and that was not something that I was willing to put money in the pockets of people that were doing that to animals, which, I felt was wrong. Morally, it's just wrong, doesn't sit in my values. And yeah, I just decided one day, it's like, look, enough's enough. I put that off for quite a long time, because selfishly, I wanted to be a high level athlete, and I thought that I had to be eating a certain way or doing a certain thing to be that high level athlete. And, all along that actually wasn't the case. A lot of people would say they correlate, say, my drop off in, say, competing at the CrossFit Games correlated with when I went plant based. But to be honest, can't be further from the truth. My priorities after 2019 changed dramatically. I wanted to, after 2019, placing fifth, I had done all I possibly could in the CrossFit space. Like, I didn't want to go back and try and shoot for, shooting for any better was going to be a task that I don't think I could have committed to. So that kind of like, at the same time, I also thought to myself, well, I want to go plant based. I don't want to be the cause of these particular things in the industry and in the planet. And it kind of just all happened at the same time. So, and since then, like I've hit PRs in all of my strength lifts. I've run faster than I ever have. I've set records in all of my individual aspects, after being plant based, and that's something that probably not a lot of people are wanting to know. They just correlate. Oh, he stopped competing at the CrossFit Games competitively after 2019 when he went plant based, but it was never the case.
Were you adventurous with food before giving up meat?
Oh, so even before I gave up eating meat, and I hadn't done dairy for the last like 6 or 7 years. But
Was
yeah,
that like a dietary thing, the dairy, or why was that?
Oh yeah, I didn't feel like I needed to drink milk. Like, it was never a thing. I didn't feel like I needed breast milk from another animal. So I felt like I just didn't need it, so I didn't have it. But I was predominantly, I was 80+% plant-based anyway. So I was eating a lot of plant food regardless. And I might have, some chicken or beef or lamb or pork or something once a day. And that was like, maybe for dinner. But the rest of it, I was still, even before going plant-based, I was still having tofu and tempeh and things like that anyway, from time to time. So the transition was not hard. Like, it literally did it. Like I said before, I'm very straight down the line. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. And I was driving the car one day, just made the decision when I was sitting at a set of lights. I saw a bunch of, I think it was a bunch of sheep in like a semi-trailer next to me, just all crammed up to the nth degree with no room and space. And it was a bloody hot day. And I thought, oh, fuck it. I'm not going I'm not putting money in the pockets of people that are treating animals this way. So I literally just went to the shop, got some black beans, some tempeh, tofu, and just kind of went from there. And then haven't looked back since. Have not thought to myself, oh, I missed this, or I wish I had that, or I feel like my performance is decreasing because of this. I went from having, PRs of, I think before I went plant-based, my PR back squat was like 200 kilos. I had a 255 deadlift and bench press, about 140 odd kilos. And since then, I've done a 260 deadlift, a 215 back squat, and I've done a 137.5 kilo bench press. It's all relatively the same, a little bit better, and I'm also a better runner than I was before. So, it's just, I feel like if I can do what I want to do in my day-to-day, and this is the thing, this is the biggest thing out of everything. I do not have to sacrifice anything. There's not one time in the last 3 years that I've had to think to myself, oh, I can't do that because of the way I eat. It's not a thing. So, if that's the case, why would I not? Like, there's why would I not?
Yeah, because like like veganuary is a big thing. Like the last like 2 or 3 years, I've noticed it a lot. But like say we had dinner today. Like it's New Year's Day here still, and we had dinner today, and I had Brussels sprouts, and I was like patting myself on the back. I was like, man, eating Brussels sprouts, you're fucking kicking off this year the right way.
Yeah.
But like,
I love it.
if I know my palate and brain and eyes and everything else are not broad enough to be like, that's fine, I'll just have some aubergine or eggplant or whatever. Like, I know that just looking at it, I'm just like, I don't know how and I don't judge anyone else for only eating plants or anything like that. But I mean, like, I don't know, looking at an eggplant in a shop, I don't know how I can look at that and be like, I would digest that. Like, I just don't. I just can't.
I know.
Like,
and in the same situation, I would not judge the other way either, and that's the biggest thing. Like, I don't like the
if you're not with us, you're against us kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all. Like, I think that's, if you want to make people angry at you, that's what you want. That's what you do, and that's not what I'm about. Like, all I'm about is showing people that if you would like to do it, you can do it, and you can find meals that are extremely tasty at the end of the day, if that's the way that your palate wants to go. You can do it. You can function. You can thrive. You can live healthier. You can be, you can be happy. You can do all these things, and it just takes time. Like, I totally understand. Like, I don't walk through the shops either and look at an eggplant and go, oh my God, like, mouth watering. That's not a thing.
The things I could do with this.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like, it takes time to figure out what works best for you. And it's literally retraining. Like, you probably have a handful or half a dozen staple meals that you just love and you go to on a regular monthly basis that are just like, you know what, I'm hungry, don't know what to have. Oh, I'm going to have this. That's my thing. It just takes time to reprogram what that is. And it doesn't take long, but it does take time. And in the beginning, it didn't really bother me because, I'm eating for fueling and that's it. And then I do enjoy, if I want to have like something that's a treat, I'll make some pancakes and I can make them plant-based, like I don't have to add any eggs or milk or anything to that to make nice tasting pancakes. And then I usually put some maple syrup on it. But I think it's a gradual effect for most people. And it's just about just trying something new, or like just having an open mind to trying something new. And it's not like you have to do this. It's just like, try this and then try this and then try this and then just do it over the course of time. But if anything, I would just say to someone, if you're drinking milk, just the first thing to do is just get rid of milk and dairy. Like, get rid of dairy.
Yeah, because I think, like, I gave up drinking like 2 or 3 years ago. I was just, nothing happened, nothing bad happened. I was at a wedding, and then the next day I just, like, I was hungover or whatever, but the next day I was like, God, I can't remember anything beyond the speeches. Like, I was like, can I even remember the speeches? I was like, geez, I actually don't remember them at all. And I didn't do anything bad. I didn't like embarrass myself or anything. But I remember afterwards just being like, Jesus, what is the point? And then it sounds like just this, like a similar parallel to you sitting the traffic lights of like, what's the point? And then I've never looked back. Now, if someone was like, oh, we're going to go out drinking, I'd be like, literally zero interest. Like, couldn't.
Yeah.
It's not even like I have to say no. It's like the reflex is just to say no.
Yeah. And honestly, and that's like, I think that's where people either get to or they don't get to. I got to that, with what my diet was like before, and you got to that point with drinking. It's just like, it's everybody's on their own individual journey, and I think you'll get to a point that something strikes true to you and you feel compelled to go through with it, and you either do or you find an excuse as to why the comfort zone that you were in is more comfortable than the one that you're moving into. And sometimes it just takes a bit of time to make that new comfort zone a little bit more comfier than the one that you had previously. And it's all a learning experience. You'll make mistakes along the way. You'll try something and do something, or you'll have this idea that, okay, carnivore diet's the best thing ever. It's like, okay, cool. Well, okay, see how you go with that. But, at the end of the day, just keeping an open mind to the idea that you do not know, we do not, everybody, not just you and me, we don't know everything. We don't have the answers to all. You want to be a little bit humble and in that respect, and lose the ego to thinking that you know everything and you have the answers. All I'm trying to do myself is to live as happy and as healthy as I possibly can, with causing the least amount of harm I possibly can to any other living being on the planet at the same time. Also trying to contribute to good quality life for all the people close to me and around me, and having a fun time along the way, and trying to share experiences. And that's really it. And if I can do that, and you don't want to boast about it, and you don't want to, force people into trying to do it, or making them feel bad for whatever else they're doing. You just want to do it along the way, and that's what I use my social platforms for. I don't love social media that much, but I do it to express to people that, here's what I'm doing, and if it inspires you to be better tomorrow, then sweet, I've done my job.
So have you always been, because I kind of consider you to be, and can as well, I'd have you both in the same bracket of being kind of, I'm trying to think of, like, kind of on the hippie side of hipster, if you know what I mean, like kind of like on a, I don't know, like viewing things from maybe a different plane, definitely a different plane than I view them from, of like, you're talking about harming living creatures and stuff like that's like, I never punch anyone in the face or anything, but it's still not something that really comes into my day-to-day thinking or whatever. And like, I admire that about the two of you, that you have that kind of, what would you call it, like self-awareness. You can harm that fucking bird that's making noise there. Feel free to harm that one. That's totally acceptable. No, but
there's
like,
way too many of them. There's way too many of them.
Yeah, you wouldn't take them on. That's like that 100 duck-sized horses thing. It's like the question is answered. But I admire that about the two of you, that you have this kind of, like, I don't know, this level of self-awareness. I think a lot of people claim to have, a lot of people aspire to have, but very few people actually get, where, like, the fact that you knew yourself enough to say, like, right, I'm finished with that level of being that level of competitor. I'm finished with that. And other people were like, oh, you need to talk to someone about this. You're like, no, I'm fine. And that you're able to, like, just sitting in traffic, be able to make a life-altering decision of, like, I'm finished with, like, animal products. And then, it's just like, it's remarkable. I suppose I'm curious, is that something that has that always been present, like that level of self-awareness, or is that like something that's more recent with age?
I feel like I've always had an element to that. Like, I kind of always known what I want to do, and I had always wanted to be my own boss too. So no one could kind of tell me what to do. I always wanted to figure it out. But the other thing, I think that what you were talking about, that I guess that hippie style of hipster you were talking about, I feel like that only comes down to just having an open mind to all things, and understanding that I don't know everything. That is it. I'm always keen to hear someone's point of view or someone's side, and just having an open mind. I feel like we shoot ourselves in the foot so often, growing up with what we believed was, the be all and end all, and the facts are here, and this is how we live our life, and this is the way we do things. If we restrict ourselves to those trains of thought, we're never going to progress forward and be better. And all I try and do is just have an open mind, listen to what people say, And if what someone says or what someone does or what someone shows me resonates with me enough that I love it and I think it's a cool thing, I will give it a go. If someone explains something to me or gets me to try something and I don't enjoy it and I don't like it, then I can leave it by the wayside. And if it doesn't hit me hard or it doesn't align with my values, then I won't do it. I feel like we just get so caught up in what our parents did, what our grandparents did, what our great grandparents did, and it just gets pushed along the line. It's like, shit, well, maybe what they were doing was not the best thing for the planet, the best thing for me, and best thing for, my brothers and sisters. Maybe some of them were. Maybe 1 out of 10 things that they said to me was a good thing to do. So take the one thing. Don't take the other 9 just because it's coming from somebody else. It's like you need to, if you can just keep an open mind, I feel like that's probably what myself, Matt, and Khan have in common. We have an open mind to all ideas, and if they resonate enough with us, we might take them on and it might become a part of one of our values. But if it doesn't sit well with me, and anything to do with animal cruelty doesn't sit well with me, and look, and I know some people are going to get on here and probably think, yeah, well, when you harvest plants and you grow crops and things like that, you're killing animals in the process. It's like, yes, I understand that there's going to be some casualties along the way when you're harvesting crops for millions and millions and billions of people. But there's a difference between, driving your car and running a dog down on purpose and driving your car and hitting a dog by accident. It's two different sides of the story. So for me, it's trying to cause as little harm as possible. And that's the plant-based side of things. But then, if you look at the broader picture here, and that's looking at the way that I approached, competing, and look at the way I approach, my relationships, and look at the way I approach business now, I just try and keep an open mind as much as I can. And if something sits well with me, then keep it. And if something doesn't sit well, then leave it.
Is fiber all plant-based, or is it just you have a plant-based range?
So fiber is going to be all plant-based. We won't use any animal products in any of our formulas. At the moment, we have a plant-based protein that we're very happy with. We'll continue to evolve it as well. There's going to be some cool things we'll add to it, but then the next things that we've got coming out, they're all going to be plant-based as well. Most of the things that we're going to be doing with fiber is a lot to do with the gut microbiome. So we're looking to increase health through the gut microbiome, and on top of that, give performance effects through different types of vectors. So we're looking at things that contribute to overall health, like energy, protein, so amino acids. We're looking at things that enhance mitochondria production, like production of energy. We're looking at things like healthy fats, so plant-based fats. All the things that we can do to help invigorate the body to perform and to work optimally, whether you're an athlete or you're just looking for the extra kick to be better at your daily job or look after the kids. So it's just looking at the icing on the cake, or that little insurance policy on top of a really good whole food diet. That's just going to, fill in all the gaps that you may be getting in your regular diet that you might be forgetting about.
And you do a podcast as well with, is that Matt that does it with you?
Yeah. Matt's the brains. Matt's the brains, and he talks.
I was gonna say, because you were doing. I saw a reel. I think you shared it the other day. Of you were talking about like fats, healthy fats, and plant-based fats and stuff. And within about 3 seconds, I was like, "This guy's a genius!" Like when he's talking, but like partially because he was just saying stuff that I didn't understand, but also because you were like nodding along, like, "Yes, this makes total sense." So once someone says something I don't understand, and someone else is like, "Yes, you are right," I'm like, "Okay, this guy knows his shit." Was the driving force behind setting it up the fact that you felt that there was like a gap in the market for plant-based stuff and that there needed to be alternatives, and then was working with him, so he was your naturopath, I think you said, like before that, so was it just a no-brainer doing it with him?
Yeah, so Matt's very well known for being one of the best formulators in the world at what he does. Like he's so in tune with what works well for the body that partnering with him was a no-brainer. But for me, that there's so many plant-based, I wouldn't say there's a gap in the market, but there is also a gap in the market. there are so many plant-based companies out there doing a very good job, and there are so many plant-based companies out there just getting an off-the-shelf formula from their local contract manufacturer and just putting it together, chucking it on the shelf, and then just doing an epic job of marketing. What we want to do is we want to not only provide the best, most pure, potent, natural plant-based supplements we possibly can, but also give education, which is why we're doing the podcast, and which is why it's one of the biggest parts of the business is actually the education. Matt has so much information to give out to people to help them be healthier and happier and be able to play with the kids until they're 90 years old or 100 years old, that none of that information that he has in his brain, he wants to hold at ransom for people who can afford it, and only those, which is why the podcast is free. So education is just as much as a part of this as selling the supplements for us. The supplements are going to give you some immense health benefits, and they're going to help you increase your performance. But on top of that, if you don't buy any supplements, I do not mind. As long as if you listen to the podcast and you can take away one thing from each podcast that enlightens you or inspires you to live a little bit healthier, beautiful. Stoked. I'm stoked with that. And so is Matt.
This podcast is free as well. It's like I don't want to hold any of the shit that's in my head to ransom either, because I need to get that shit out.
Yeah, I need to fucking unload this stuff because it's a burden. It's a burden on my soul.
My murderous rage towards that bird that just needs to get out as soon as it's happening. I can't hold on to that.
Oh man.
Of all the sports that you've tried, then, even if we just look at the last 18 months, I mentioned at the start, like strongman and powerlifting and bobsledding and CrossFit and, endurance races, ultramarathons, triathlons and Ironman and stuff. If I said to you, okay, unfortunately, James, you actually have to make a decision. You can't have that broad spectrum approach anymore. Starting for 2023, you have to go all in on one. Is there one that would stand out?
To just do for the rest of my life as recreation, or to compete at the highest level possible?
Just say even just for the year, even just say for 2023, I'm going to give you like $1 million Australian dollars. That's about 500 euro. So I'm going to give you $1 million Australian dollars to go all in on one of the sports listed above. Which one would you pick?
I'd go Ironman triathlon.
Is that just because of how demanding CrossFit is, whereas Ironman or triathlon, you've got like 3 disciplines and you just do those 3 things if you want to?
Yeah, look, I think if I went all in an Ironman triathlon for 12 months, after 12 months, I wouldn't want to do it anymore. But if I've been there, like, it's almost like I've been there, done that with CrossFit, and it doesn't fire me up. It doesn't like make me jump out of bed. And I can't say that Ironman triathlon makes me jump out of bed, like raring to go. But if you said, hey man, I'm going to give you $1 million, and by the end of the year, I want you to have your businesses to this level of success, then that would get me jumping out of bed for sure. But in saying that, if there was one sport, and I had this conversation.
Oh, he got a call, I bet.
Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. If there was one sport that I could have been a professional in, it would have been surfing for sure. I would have been, I would have tried to be a professional surfer, but I was never that good. And so that was probably one of them. But then again, like, yeah, I would have to say Ironman triathlon, only because I'm so intrigued on how quick I could potentially go in an Ironman if I did 12 months of training leading up to it. Like, my best time is a little over 10 hours. And I would love to see if I could go like sub 9. I'd love to see if I could go sub 9 and get myself in a position where I could do that.
How many people did the last Ironman that you did?
How many people did it?
Yeah.
Oh,
where did you place? Like, what position out of how many? I'm just trying to I'm trying to contextualize just over 10 hours for myself.
I think in the open division, not in the pros, like, so not a pro, but just in open division. When I did 10-14, I think I placed maybe 25th in my age group, something like that. 20th, 25th, maybe. Okay. Somewhere there.
It sounds impressive anyway. Like 25. I'm assuming there wasn't just 26 people, and it sounds impressive.
Nah. There was. I think we had in total for Busso, there was like 2,000 competitors, but that was male and female. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, look, I've never been in a position where I could put in 20 hours of triathlon training in a week. Most of my triathlon preparation, I think the biggest week of triathlon training I ever did was like 12 hours. And, that's like basically what the race is. So like, it's, yeah, most of the time it's usually between 5 and 8 hours of, aerobic work a week. So I'd love to see what I could do off 20. Just out of curiosity, not like the sport is like, oh my God, I'm so obsessed with triathlon like I was back in the day with CrossFit, and it was absolute CrossFit frother. It's not like that. It's more just intrigue on how far I could push my body and how fast I could push my body to go, because I know what I feel like going maximal capacity and coming in at 10 hours. I don't know what maximal capacity going in at sub 9 hours would kind of feel like if that was achievable for me. I have no idea. I'd have to lose some weight. But then again, there's some other sports that I wouldn't mind having a crack at, but I'm at the moment, I'm happy with rec stuff. Like if you just said, hey, for this next year, you can only do one exercise, one form of exercising, I dare say it'd probably have to be surfing. I'd have to get back into surfing, which I haven't done to the capacity that I did when I was in high school. Like I tried to surf as much as I could in high school. Just being out in the water with your mates is, there's nothing better. Either that or like snowboarding or something like that, because it's sick.
Yeah, snowboarding in Brisbane would be interesting, I'd say.
Mate, it's like hectic up here. Like you see the snow, it's going off.
Will you just take out your headphones and put them back in? Because there's a weird clicking noise.
Is that better?
No, I don't know. When you speak, there's a weird clicking noise when you speak. I don't know why. Oh, now you're just gone altogether. No, you're gone. No, can't hear anything. Nope. Oh, there you are.
Is that good?
Yeah, I'm on your iPhone now, I think, am I?
Cool. All right, 1 second. All right, sweet.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you go. I think we've kind of covered everything that I kind of wanted to talk about. If when you look at 2023, then just lastly, your businesses, that's your main aim, is your business is growing your business. So is that, if you were to list out your resolutions or your goals for the year, are they all kind of business based?
Yeah. So sorry, I have to put you up to my ear so I can hear you. But
that was a beautiful view.
So pretty much all my goals this year, my most prominent goals are making sure that the businesses they progress on. We're looking, trying to strike for particular milestones and with those things. And then for competing in sport and my own fitness, it's just competing in as many cool events as I possibly can and creating some cool memories. So I don't doubt that I'll probably have anywhere from, say, 10 to 15 cool events under my belt by December of next year. And hopefully they're just as random as possible and they're all fun, and I'm doing it with lots of cool people, and it's allowing me to meet new people and share some sick experiences. And that's all I'm really looking for in terms of athletic stuff.
If you're looking for athletic experience, hang on a second, I'm looking for a comment. Have you seen Fit Wars?
No, I haven't seen Fit Wars.
So Nick from Wad Zombie, this is an amazing view. Nick from Wad Zombie set up Fit Wars, and he did the first edition of it, and it was Scott Tetlow and Colton Mertens went head to head, and it was like an online workout. And the workout is announced just before they go, so they have to set up their gym and their camera, whatever, and they go. And it was live streamed. Savan live streamed. No, Hiller live streamed it, and him and Brian Friend kind of co-commented on it. And he commented earlier on saying that he wants to get you on it. So that could be one of your goals for 2023, would be to do one of the.
I would be so down for that. That sounds like such a blast. Like I've always almost like a Friday Night Lights where it's just a head to head. Yeah, I've always thought that would be a super cool concept to introduce. And hey, if someone wanted to do that, that would be great. If they could just make it, like a 3,000 meter swim,
an Ironman,
a 3,000 meter swim, I would be super down for that.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you. Thanks for coming on. It's been like fantastic to get to talk to you. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled I got to talk to you. I'll hopefully get to see you in Miami when you're over there. Congratulations on everything last year, on your whole career to date, and all the changes that you've made. Like, it's remarkable talking to someone that's so confident in who they are and just gifted in everything that they've done. So congratulations and best of luck with the next year.
Mate, thanks so much for having me. I've actually had an absolute blast chatting to you. So we shouldn't keep it too long before the next one.
Agreed.